What's up, everyone? Jay here from Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with a deck tech for the last King deck for our upcoming Clash of Kings Battle Royale. So today's deck, as you can see here in front of you, is for the last King, Brago King Eternal. So let's take a look at him real quick. He's a 4-cost, 2/4 legendary spirit. He is flying, and when he hits a player, you can exile any number of target non-land permanents you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. So more or less, when he hits an opponent, you get to flicker anything on your side of the board that's not a land. So it's really nice. Basically lets you abuse the crap out of enter the battlefield effects, more or less. So we do have a lot of creatures that have enter the battlefield effects. So that's more or less how the deck is built, and how Brago really shines is when he hits somebody, you flicker out any amount of your stuff that's not a land, and just get to reap the rewards from flickering it out, as we'll see in the deck. But first up, we will take a look at our land base for this deck. Nothing too insane, seeing as it's just a 2-color deck. So first we'll take a look at our non-basics. We have Rupture Spire, so we can get, either of our colors. We have Seachrome Coast. We have a Mary of the Sky Ruin for that creature resurrection once we get to 7 planes. Hallowed Fountain, Celestial Colonnade, Azorius Chancery, Azorius Guildgate, Terramorphic Expanse for that filter, Glacial Fortress, Halimar Depths to filter our top 3, Floodplain, basically a worse Flooded Strand, but it lets you potentially fetch up your Hallowed Fountain, or a basic if you want. Then we have Vivid Meadow and Academy Ruins. And Sajiri Refuge is our last non-basic, and then the rest of the deck is just basic land. So we have, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 islands, and 13 plains. So that is our land base. Pretty basic, nothing crazy. Next up, we'll take a look at our artifacts and enchantments that we run in the deck. First up will be our artifacts. First up is Azorius Signet, just a mana rock for us there. Then we have Norn's Annex, which is very similar to something like Ghostly Prison, but if your opponents aren't playing white, they have to pay 2 life to attack you. So, they can't attack you unless they pay a Phyrexian white. So if they're not playing white in their deck, they are forced to pay 2 life to attack you. Vidalcan Shackles is really nice, pretty powerful card. You can gain control of a creature with power less than or equal to the number of islands you control with this. And if you choose to not untap this during your untap step, you basically keep control of the creature that you steal. So it's very nice. Azorius Keyrune, just another mana rock that can animate into a 2/2 white and blue bird if we so choose. Conjurer's Closet fits the theme of the deck being able to flicker things in and out and re-trigger effects, so Conjurer's Closet was a shoe-in. Hell Vault lets you pay 1 tap and exile a creature you control, or pay 7 and tap it and exile a target creature you don't control. Late game, it's pretty nice. You can just start exiling some of your opponent's threats off the board, and then if you have something like Ghostly Flicker, you can flicker the Hell Vault out, or use Brago, and whatever creatures that you exiled with this, after you flicker it out and it comes back in, those creatures will remain exiled forever. Because normally when this would go to the graveyard, all cards exiled with it go back to their owner's control. But if you flicker it out with Ghostly Flicker, it'll come back, and then the creatures you've exiled are just exiled permanently. Swiftfoot Boots for the Hexproof and Haste. Soul Ring, another mana rock there. Don't need to explain why that's in the deck. Next are the enchantments. We run a Prison Term, Makes it so that the creature can't attack or block and can't activate its abilities, and whenever another creature comes into play under an opponent's control, if we so choose, we can move this from from the creature that it's on to the creature that just came in if it's more threatening to us. Then we have Detention Sphere. Comes in, you exile a non-land permanent not named Detention Sphere and all other permanents with the same name as it. Excuse me. So really good on tokens if your opponent's playing a token deck. Also, maybe if some of your opponents are playing some of the same cards and they happen to have, someone has, I don't know, let's say a Primeval Titan. I know he's banned, but if someone had him and then another person had him and you drop this, all of them get exiled. So it's pretty nice. Then we have Dissipation Field, 4-cost blue enchantment. Whenever a permanent deals damage to you, it gets bounced to its owner's hand. So it's more or less kind of a deterrent for your opponents to hit you with things, because then they'll just have to recast them. Martial Law will let you detain a creature on your upkeep. Rule of Law makes it so that each player can't play more than one spell a turn. So this deck does have a pretty heavy control element to it as well. So once you establish your state of control and you drop a Rule of Law, there's really not much your opponent can do at that point, but they literally can only play one thing a turn to try to stop you. And if you already have your state of control established on the board, it's probably not going to matter that one spell that they're going to play, because you'll probably have an answer to it. Here's Faith's Fetters, a 4-cost white enchantment aura. When it comes into play, you gain 4 life, and the enchanted permanent can't activate its abilities unless they're mana abilities, and if it's a creature, it can't attack or block. And lastly, Luminarch Ascension. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if you didn't lose life this turn, you can put a quest counter on this. And then, as long as it has 4 or more quest counters on it, you can make 4/4 Flying Angels for 2 mana. So that's very nice. So those are the artifacts and enchantments. Next we'll take a look at our instants and sorceries. First up will be our instants. We run Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares for some spot removal. We have Momentary Blink because this deck does focus on flickering things in and out to re-trigger effects. So this we can essentially use twice because it has flashback. Then we have Sphinx's Revelation. We'll draw you X cards and gain you X life. So and at instant speed. So that's very nice. Here is the aforementioned Ghostly Flicker. It lets you exile 2 artifacts, creatures, and or lands you control, and then return them to the battlefield under your control. So a very, very nice flicker spell. Here's Turn to Mist, 2-cost instant. It lets you flicker out a creature and then return it to play under its owner's control at end of turn. So you can use that on your own stuff to re-trigger effects, or make it so that maybe one of your opponent's creatures can't hit you or do whatever it wants to do that turn. Cloud Shift lets you exile a creature you control and then immediately bring it back to the board, so another flicker type spell. Return to Dust will let you exile an artifact or enchantment, and if you cast this during your main phase, you can exile an additional artifact or enchantment at instant speed for 4 mana, so that's very nice. Next are the sorceries. We have a Supreme Verdict, basically a Day of Judgment that can't be countered. Then we have Wrath of God and Austere Command. Austere Command is very nice because it gives you lots of modes to choose from. Basically, it lets you blow up whatever you don't want on the board. You can choose 2 of the following: blow up all artifacts, or blow up all enchantments, or blow up all creatures with cost 3 or less, or blow up all creatures with cost 4 or greater. So lots of options with that card. Next up, we'll take a look at the 2 Planeswalkers that we run. Naturally, we run a Venser the Sojourner. His first ability lets you basically flicker out a permanent you own, and then it comes back on your end step. Then you can -1 on him to make creatures unblockable this turn, which can definitely end a game. And then his ultimate is you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, exile target permanent. If you kick that off, your opponent's more than likely going to lose very soon. And then we have Jace, Memory Adept. He'll +1 to draw you a card and mill an opponent, or 0 to make someone mill their top 10, or -7, any number of target players each draw 20 cards, so he's pretty cool. Card draw and mill, then more mill, and then massive card draw. Alright, and lastly we will take a look at the creatures of the deck. First up, we have Sakashima's Student, basically a clone with ninjutsu that retains its name. So, if it clones, let's say, a Sheoldred, it's not going to be called Sheoldred. It's still going to be called, I want to say it does. Yeah, you may have Sakashima's Student enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the board, except it's still a ninja. Okay, so it doesn't actually retain its name, but it does retain its creature types in addition to the other types of the creature that you clone. But it's really nice because it has ninjutsu, so if one of your creatures goes in unblocked, you can ninjutsu this in and copy one of your opponent's threats. Excuse me for my derp moment with that card. I thought it was exactly like Sakashima the Imposter, but clearly I was wrong. Anyways, Venser Shaper's Avant is next. A 4-cost 2/2 with Flash. When he comes in, return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. So if something's on the board, you can bounce it when he comes in. If something's on the stack, you can bounce it when he comes in. So he's really good. Here we have Wind Reaver, a 5-cost 1/3 flyer that has lots of nice modes. Pay a white to give him Vigilance, or pay a white to give him +0/+1, or pay a blue to switch his power and toughness until end of turn, or pay a blue to bounce him to your hand. So as long as you have some blue mana open, he's really hard to kill. And he can go in for some serious damage. You can declare him as an attacker, give him Vigilance so he doesn't tap down, swing in if your opponent declares no blocks, or, doesn't cast any spells to try to deal with him. You can pump his defense a bunch of times and then switch his power and toughness so he hits for a lot more damage. So he's very tricky and very versatile and very hard to kill. Here's a Grand Arbiter, a 4-cost 2/3 that lowers the casting cost of your white and blue spells by 1, and spells your opponent's play cost 1 more to play. So he's a pretty nice control card. Lowers the casting cost of basically everything in this deck minus artifacts by 1, and makes it so that your opponent's stuff costs more to play. Next up we have Peregrine Drake, a 5-cost 2/3 flyer. When he comes in, you can untap up to 5 lands. He is an infinite combo if you have like an Archaeomancer or Mnemonic Wall down, and you have a Ghostly Flicker in hand. So if you cast the Ghostly Flicker and exile the Peregrine Drake and your Archaeomancer or Mnemonic Wall, those cards will get you back an instant or sorcery out of your graveyard. Exile this and one of those creatures, and then when they come back, the Peregrine Drake will untap the mana that you spent to cast the Ghostly Flicker. Obviously, you want to tap more than just the 3. You want to probably tap up to 5 lands because he will untap up to 5. So tap 5 lands, cast the Ghostly Flicker on him and an Archaeomancer. They'll come back, he'll untap your 5 lands, netting you 2 mana, and then the Archaeomancer will come back and let you take back your Ghostly Flicker. So you can just keep doing that repeatedly and generate infinite mana. So he's a nice little combo piece. Here's Azorius Justicar, 4-cost 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you get to detain 2 target creatures your opponents control. Detain is that they can't attack or block and can't activate abilities until your next turn. Here's Phyrexian Ingester, 7-cost 3/3 with Imprint. When he enters the battlefield, you can exile a non-token creature, and he gets +X/+Y, where X is the exiled creature's power and Y is its toughness. So I like him because he can exile creatures. So he's really nice. Here's Sakashima the Imposter, another clone, 4-cost 3/1. When he comes in, choose a creature in play. If you do, he comes into play as a copy of that creature, except its name is still Sakashima the Imposter. It's still legendary and gains pay 2 and 2 blue. Bounce him to your hand at end of turn. So if your opponent plays something else that you want to clone, you can bounce him to your hand, recast him, and then clone that. Here's Isperia Supreme Judge, a 6-cost 6/4 flyer. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw a card. So if your opponent's attacking you, you get to draw cards, which is nice. Restoration Angel, 3/4 with flash and flying. When it comes in, it lets you flicker a non-angel creature you control, and then it comes right back. So you can use that to re-trigger enter the battlefield effects. Here's Draining Welk, a 6-cost 1/1 flyer with flash, and when he comes in, counter target spell, and then he gets X 1/1 counters, where X is the spell that you countered's mana cost. So he's very nice. Flickering him in and out, you can essentially just keep countering whatever your opponent's trying to do. Mirror Sigil Sergeant is a 6-cost 4/4 with trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a blue permanent, you can put a token into play that's a copy of Mirror Sigil Sergeant. If your opponent doesn't deal with this guy, he's going to duplicate and duplicate and duplicate like on an exponential level. So on your upkeep, you'll get a copy of him, and then that copy will generate copies, and those copies will generate copies, and it's maddening if your opponent doesn't deal with that guy. Here's New Prov Guildmage, 2-cost 2/2. You can pay a white and a blue to give a creature flying, or pay 3, a white and a blue to detain target non-land permanent an opponent controls, so he's pretty cool. Aegis Angel, 6-cost 5/5 flyer. It makes another permanent you control indestructible for as long as you control this. Clever Impersonator is probably the best clone ever printed. 4-cost clone that lets you clone any non-land permanent on the board. So you can clone a creature, you could clone an artifact, an enchantment, a planeswalker, whatever you want to clone that's not a land, he will let you do it. Here's Deadeye Navigator, one of the all-stars in the deck. This guy is just broken good. A 6-cost 5/5 with Soul Bond, so when he or another creature comes in, you can soul bond them together. So as long as they're soul bonded, they're quote-unquote paired. And then as long as Deadeye Navigator is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has pay 1 and a blue and flicker it out. So this guy is like nearly impossible to kill, and the creature that he's paired with is going to be nearly impossible to kill. And you can just flicker them out for 2 mana and just keep re-triggering effects over and over and over and over and over. One of Derek's favorite blue cards. He plays it in just about every deck that he's got blue in, and he's done very mean, dirty things to me with that guy. Here's Phyrexian Metamorph, an artifact creature clone that you can pay for 3 and a Phyrexian blue, and he'll clone any creature or artifact on the board. Another clone, Vesuvian Shapeshifter, 5-cost clone. When he comes in or his turn face up, you can clone a creature, and he has more for 1 and a blue. Oh, also, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may turn him face down. So you can keep changing your target on what you want to clone. Here's Archaeomancer. When he comes in, you get back an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Aether Adept lets you bounce a creature when it comes into play. Flicker Wisp, 3/1 flyer that lets you exile another target permanent and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at end of turn. Here's Riftwing Cloudskate, 5-cost 2/2 flyer. When he comes in, bounce a permanent, and you can suspend him for 1 and a blue for 3 turns. Here's Teferi. He's pretty brutal if you get him on the board. 5-cost 3/4 with flash. Creature cards you own that are in play have flash, and each opponent can play spells only any time they could cast a sorcery. So basically makes it so that your opponents can't do anything on anybody else's turn, and makes it so that all your creatures have flash, which is very nice. Here's Knight Captain of Eos, 5-cost 2/2. When he comes in, he brings 2 1/1 white soldiers with him, and you can pay 1 and a white and sack a soldier to fog, basically. Muldrifter, everybody knows and loves him. He draws you cards. Solemn Everybody knows and loves this guy too. When he comes in, you get a basic onto the board tapped. When he dies, you draw a card. Here's Drog Skull Reaver, a 7-cost 3/5 flyer with double strike and lifelink. And whenever you gain life, draw a card. So the fact that he's got double strike means that he'll draw you 2 cards if he hits somebody, because he'll first strike and you'll gain life, and then he'll regular strike and you'll gain life. So he'll hit for 3 and then 3, and you'll gain 6 and draw 2 cards. So he's really nice. Here's Fiend Hunter. He lets you exile another creature when he comes in, and when he leaves play, that creature comes back. Lavinia of the 10th has protection from red, and she's a 4/4 for 5. And when she comes in, you detain each non-land permanent your opponents control with converted mana cost 4 or less. Mnemonic Wall is basically the same thing as Archaeomancer, except it's a 0/4 with Defender. Sun Titan, a 6-cost 6/6 with Vigilance that lets you resurrect a permanent out of your graveyard with cost 3 or less right onto the board. Miss Meadow Witch lets you flicker creatures I'm sorry. Lets you flicker creatures off the board, and then they come back at end of turn for 2, a white and a blue. And then lastly, Azorius Guildmage, a 2-cost 2/2 that you can pay 2 and a white to tap a creature down, or pay 2 and a blue to counter target activated ability. So that about wraps up the deck tech for Brago King Eternal for our upcoming Clash of Kings battle. This is the last deck tech for the 4 Kings. Any of you that have been following, we've already done Tymaret, Makar, and Darien. So this was the last deck tech, and the actual Clash of Kings battle should be upcoming to our channel very, very soon. We have plans to film the gameplay this coming Sunday, and we will probably have the gameplay up on Monday. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys are excited about it, because we're very excited about filming the gameplay and seeing which king comes out on top. Also, to reiterate, any of you that saw the reveal video that we did for the Clash of Kings, you'll know that we want you, all of our viewers, to vote on which king you think will prevail in this 4-player free-for-all battle royale, whether it be Brago, Tymaret, Makar, or Darien. So we would like you guys to voice your opinion. Many of you already have, which we do appreciate, and it's just really interesting and really exciting to see, everybody that's voting is, very excited to see who's going to win. So if you haven't voted yet, go to the video that we announced the Clash of Kings. We'll probably put a link in the description of this video so that you can navigate back to it. So go to that video and voice your opinion and vote on who you think's going to win if you haven't done already. Also, in that video, we explained that whoever votes for the winning king, we will compile all those people that voted for the winning king up into a pool, and we will select one person at random from that pool, and they will win a little giveaway. And the giveaway consists of, basically just some free cards. It'll consist of a copy of the winning king and some signature cards from the winning king's deck. So that about wraps up all that, guys. So again, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs up the video. Let us know that you enjoyed it so we know to keep making more deck techs for you. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, crush that subscribe button so you're notified every time that we upload a new video. But this has been Jay with Tap and Turn Gaming. Again, hope everybody enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll catch you later. Thanks a lot for watching.